Okay, welcome to part two. Part
This is why
two.
you have decentralized networks.
Yeah, right. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if something happened to X or YouTube, and so we stream through Restream on
Okay,
X, Twitch, and YouTube, and it's
nice.
possible if one of them goes down, they all go down. I'm not really sure how
Weird.
it works, but
Huh.
that's the first time it's ever happened to me. I've never had it crash out on me. Usually,
First time
Restream is
for
very,
everything.
yeah, I suppose. We were just getting into some of the questions, but and unlikely that we're going to have. I mean, some people will find this eventually, but the questions that people have are now not on my screen any longer. So I'm going to assume, as I was talking about TG, because you might actually be interested in TG too. Now that I think about it, Alex. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we're talking with a couple of very big tier one exchanges, right?
Okay.
And some of them have been super open to like let's just do this, let's get it on paper. Others have been more, make sure you do this first, now do this first, and let's talk about how many, what your tokenomics can be, and how much you can unlock at the beginning, and take a look at the schedule of unlocking. They're very strident, which is probably good. I mean, it's probably why they're the size exchange that they are so what's the word I'm looking for, particular. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're good about it anyways. So we haven't got it finalized yet. And our expectation still is to be able to finalize by the end of Q1. That's and get launched by the end of Q1. That's still our goal. I think that they all know that that's our goal, which they can, if they're smart, they're using that as leverage, which doesn't feel great. But at the same time, we have leverage on our side as well.
Yeah.
So anyways, to people who are asking when TG, you won't be able to escape the message of when it is. Like, it's going to be impossible. As soon as we have a date in pen, a contract signed and in pen, we're going to be shouting it from the rooftop just so everybody can hear us. So, so I don't have any more details, just to say we're in negotiations still.
Cool. Yeah, and I think everybody looks forward to TGE, but I think just as much. We've seen good TGEs and we've seen bad TGEs, right? And you don't want to be on the bad side, right? We've seen projects that and not just in the DePIN space, right? Just in general, there's sometimes, depending on the exchange, you can get different levels of token manipulation. There's just a lot of things that can happen with different exchanges. So you want to make sure that when you're going through the process, you're vetting, you take your time, and you make it worthwhile for everyone.
Yeah, I tell you what, this whole process has been eye-opening for me, and I'm not even deep in the negotiations like the other guys are. The other guys are, they had their meetings and everything, and then I get the summaries afterwards.
Nice.
But boy, there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes on a good product launch, on a good token launch, than what I would have ever expected, not having been in the trenches doing it myself.
For sure. So, yeah. There's a lot of things that you want to have it launch perfectly, right? And there's a lot of things have to line up, between, even when I, for the very first time ever, dealt with an exchange and knowing what a market maker was, and knowing the different sides of liquidity, what you need to have for trading pairs, and what trading pairs do you want to have? Do you want to have USDC, USDT? How to provide tokens, and is a lot of things that go into it. I don't think a lot of people realize that it's not just listing a token on an exchange. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah. I'm trying to raise the community's awareness that we're back up.
Oh, you're good.
We'll see if anybody comes in with questions. But I think I tackled the big one, the earlier one about the community rewards for the XP. There was a question now I think about it. Just before we crashed, I saw the question come up: how do I convert my XP into YOM tokens? That's going to be handled on our side when we determine what we can allot for as a percentage. We're going to get the ratio worked out, and then make sure that everybody who's involved in the community tokens and the XP project gets rewarded justly. So,
nice.
Nothing on your side. If you're holding your XP, just hold your XP. Well, bank your XP, build your XP, because it's all going to come back to you in the end.
Awesome.
All right, man. Well, we haven't got a chance to go face to face yet, but
I know we got to make it happen.
Not that far away, and there's so few crypto people in my community. Earlier too, you were talking about the idea of people put money in the gold and silver. Land would be the other one that people are putting their money into as a safe haven. But it is interesting. I've had in the past year, I've had more people, like in the beginning of the summer, as crypto was rising, and if you've been through a number of cycles, you get this. As it's going up, my friends are asking me, how do I do it? How do I buy it? I got to get in. and then it reached its peak and started coming down. But then silver started coming up, and then you're like, all right, so what did I do for silver? Should I go get some silver? I'm like, what are you talking to me for? I do a DePIN project.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't think we've ever seen this type of rise in gold and silver before. I don't think it's ever happened, and it's almost happened like Bitcoin to a certain degree from the astronomical rise. Silver going from $20 to like 125 in a year and a half, right? Or less than a year.
Less than that.
It's just insane, like a 6x. Like you see that. I mean, think about that's what Bitcoin did, going from 20,000 at a low to 126,000. It's about a 6x, right? So since when does a commodity like silver? And you also have to think about the market cap, right? This isn't Bitcoin going from to a $1 trillion market cap. I mean, if you look at the market cap of silver, it's multi-trillions, right? So it's on a different scale. If it goes up 10%, it the billions it goes up in a 10% move is significantly more than a 10% move in the price of Bitcoin, right? So I don't think people saw the scale at to which how fast in the value growth of silver. And I think a lot of people are like, all right, what is the next big thing that's going to go up? And they're wanting to catch that next one, right? And then, you sit down at Thanksgiving, you tell them to buy Bitcoin at 115,000. And then you look at them today and it's like, oh, what happened?
Right. But I'm getting from the people who are like the ones who did ask about silver, like, well, now I'm not going to buy it. It's already up to $70.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, but it went up to 120. And back when Bitcoin was at 80,000, you said you didn't want to get it, or 60,000, you didn't want to get it. It was too high. And it went to 120. So it's always going to feel high. My advice has always just been dollar cost average into anything that you're going to invest in, but then recognize that an investment is something that you hold for a long term. It's not something that you just kind of expect that you're going to just turn around and make yourself rich in a year. That's just unreasonable.
Right. Yeah. And I think, in hindsight, right, let's just, we're looking at Bitcoin at 68,000 right now, 67,000, right? That was all-time highs in 2021, right? So if we move back to 2021, people would have been saying, buying Bitcoin right now, you're buying too high, right? You're buying at the peak. Now you're looking at Bitcoin at the same price point, and people have a very, very different perspective on where it is today, right? And so even if you bought Bitcoin at 50,000 in the last cycle, where some people thought it's going to be peaking out right around the 50,000 mark. Oh, you're starting to buy too high. The end is coming. The bull market end is coming. And if you bought at 50,000, you held, and it's at $68,000 today, you're up money, right? So it's all in the perspective that you have on investing. And even if Bitcoin does go down to 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, it goes back down to the 60K range. I truly believe as we get into the next cycle, we're going to be looking at this 120K range, this 100K range, the same way that we're looking at, the same way that we looked at prior cycles of, 100K is now the new level of support, right? That is the new bottom for Bitcoin. I think it's all things like that. You look at the stock market, you look at all these assets, due to just world economics, just continue to rise.
Right. All right. Well, yeah, I'm not getting any questions, so we're going to go ahead and that was a pretty good wrap up. I apologize for crashing on everybody.
All good.
We'll make sure. I'll download the love. I'm going to find out what caused that, but maybe I'll merge these two videos together and repost them as one.
There you go. Works.
All right, Alex. Thanks again for stopping in. I appreciate you checking in on us. I appreciate you running a node and letting us know it's going well. And if anything comes up, how do we reach you? What's your socials? What should people?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always appreciate the town hall opportunity. Kind of gives a good kind of revisit to everything happening in the crypto space. But yeah, I post on YouTube under Veteran Crypto, and then on X, you can find me at tacticalinvest_. Typically a lot more often updates there, and then long form videos on YouTube if you're trying to get an idea of what's happening in the crypto space, to get an idea of what could be next.
Nice. We'll include both of those links in the description.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds great, Jeff. And we'll
All
make it a point to actually meet in person, considering we live,
2 hours.
2 hours away.
Like 2 hours,
So
yeah.
we'll make it happen.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.